Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Mr. Eddie Hearn joins me. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, actually. It's a beautiful spring day here in London. This building, actually, we've hosted some major press conferences in this building.
AJ?
You were probably about 3 at the time.
You have to remember I'm not the same age as Charlie.
Well, how old
when
are
we
you?
do this, by the way, 26.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, the AJ signing was here back in 2013. That was 12 years ago. Right,
14.
so you were 14 at the time, yeah, probably just getting your first pube or whatever. And James DeGale signing in here, Joshua against Dillian White, and remarkably, do you know what other press conference we did in here? The signing of Chris Eubank Jr. to Matchroom.
Oh, I was going to say Galal.
No,
because I remember Chris
yeah.
Jr., yeah.
Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, a regal building.
How things have changed, eh?
Yeah. Can we talk about New York? The reception that you get, it's very different to, I know like the boos are kind of pantomime boos sometimes, but you get a lot of love stateside.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, like, don't want to jinx it, but I get so much more love now in the UK than I did probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I'm thinking like back end of Froch, Joshua Klitschko. I used to get actually quite violently booed. But I think over the years, yeah, I'd like to think I've become a little bit more popular. And America's wild. They love me in America. Eddie Hearns, hey Hearns over here. I'm like, yeah, no, it's really nice. It's a nice feeling. And that's really one of the strategies behind the global brand, you know, to build the brand of Matchroom and to build my brand in those territories so we can go in and be successful in the market because we have the brand recognition and the profile, not just the fighters, me, Matchroom, and you know you're going to get quality when we rock up in your territory.
Yeah, because when Matchroom USA started, a bit of it was about how will America take to kind of the English personalities.
Listen, there's a lot of things that have happened over the years that have given us huge shots in the arm. Doing, 7 or 8 Canelo Alvarez fights, that was the key for us because his whole fan base now knows who I am. And that's massive for us, and it was a great experience as well. So, Taylor Serrano, obviously being involved probably in the early days with Jake Paul, even promoting Logan Paul against KSI. More recently, Bam, Boots, Shakur Stevenson, Edgar Berlanga, Richardson Hitchens. We're well in the mix, and Times Square is going to be a wild event to be involved with. I think probably it's our team's biggest challenge logistically. It's a one-of-a-kind event, and we're flat to the borders making it happen with Ring Magazine and Fatal Fury and SNK and His Excellency, and it's a real unique card with 3 great fights on it.
Yeah, it was tame in places, but really Tio made.
Tio,
he's a bit of a lunatic.
Do you know what? I've actually had a couple of
bit
good chats with Tio because I didn't really like the guy, if I'm honest. My main takeaways from that press conference were Tio Fimo Lopez is off his rocker, but very good with it and, quite funny. Ryan Garcia's back to his old self, which is brilliant to see, having seen what we went through in the Haney fight. Barboza's pumped. Rolly Romero is an interesting character. It's the first time I've been around him. Really liked his company, actually. Real, boxing aficionado. Spoke to him about loads of random fights and stuff like that. And Haney was quite quiet, really. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes back. I think he's focused, and that's a good fight against Ramirez. So, yeah, great card, May 2nd.
What are things like between you and Devin at the moment?
All good. I think the problem with social media and interviews and clickbaits is you can hear something and someone gets to hump with someone. When I'm around these guys, the good time memories come flooding back. So when I walked into his change room to say hello, was it frosty? Not really. It wasn't like it once was, but it was like, hey, a little cuddle, and we shared some good times. I made him a lot of money, and I like him, and I like the family, and I think he's a great fighter.
Yeah. Moving on to Turkey and Dana White's partnership. When were you guys made aware of this? I guess
a year ago.
Just didn't. Okay.
Yeah, about a year ago probably. When the conversation started, and particularly the last 6 months, 3 months. It wasn't really a surprise to us. Look, when Turkey does his interviews and announcements, he's very bullish, and I think some of the things whether you take him seriously or whether that's his plan, probably ruffled a few feathers. My phone's been red hot with people saying, well, we need to get together. We need to. I'm pretty chilled with it. I think it's amazing news, to be honest with you. I mean, I think if you're comfortable with your business and and you believe in your ability, I think it's brilliant. Like, I think what it shows is, anytime someone like Dana White and TKO and Nick Khan want to make a play in boxing, that goes to show you where boxing's at. The one thing that I disagree with His Excellency and Dana White, boxing's not broken. Boxing's in the best place it's ever been. And boxing's been hot for a long, long time. Riyadh season, His Excellency, he's injected that new lease of life. And of course, a huge amount of money as well to make these big fights happen. So I don't think anyone's going to fix boxing. But can we improve it? Can we put better structures together? Can we come up with leagues that are going to work and find one champion and all this kind of stuff? Yeah, I think we should always look to evolve. I don't agree with necessarily with, the kind of, what was it Dana said, we don't need 3 letters before a belt. You have to remember those governing bodies and those belts carry a huge amount of history and legacy. And fighters want to fight for those belts. Now, you've got the ring belt, which is, in my opinion, I've said before, even before His Excellency took it over, that is kind of like the Ring Magazine champion is kind of like the established number 1 in the division. But, I've this whole thing about one champion, this is not a new thing. But trust me when I say those belts have a big value to the fighters. And their heroes, previous greats, have held those belts as well. So I don't really know too much about the format, if I'm honest. I read the press release. But we'll see, and I think it's tremendous for boxing, I really do.
If I can look at it from yours and Frank's standpoint, the amount of times you've both said this wouldn't have been able to happen, this fight, this event, without the financial backing of Turkey, of Riyadh season, if that's inflated the prices, if they're to kind of move away and do their own thing a little bit with this boxing league, does that kind of put you and Frank in a stickier situation?
No, I mean, whatever.
Everything has got more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, no. The market. Look, TKO know how to run a business and they like their margins. We've seen that with the UFC. I don't think they're going to be looking to pay super inflated purses. They're going to be looking to run a great business and a good product as well. So I don't know the substance of that. For us, we are the biggest promotional company in the world. Quite frankly, hands down, I am the best promoter in the world. I have a huge TV contract and contracts with broadcasters around the world that means I have to put on close to 35 shows a year. That's without Saudi Arabia. But, of course, we've thoroughly enjoyed the business with Saudi Arabia, and I expect it to flourish and continue and go from strength to strength. The league is outside of, it looks like, Riyadh season, the Ring Magazine events, the WBC Grand Prix, so many more layers to what Turki Alalshikh is doing. So, look, I love working with His Excellency, and it's been some of the most fun parts of my career. If it ended tomorrow, which I don't believe it's going to at all, I go back to my 35 shows a year all around the world, as we were. But I believe that there's a partnership, a long-standing partnership with His Excellency, maybe, and Dana White, someone who we get on with very well. But we'll have to see. I don't really know the true substance of it yet, if I'm honest.
Maybe because it's the league format and that's what obviously Dana has with the UFC. Do you think it was always going to be Dana White that Turkey wanted to do this with? Could it have been yourself? Could it have been George, Frank?
Yeah, I've not had a concept for a league. There was a discussion a while ago about a sort of bigger league structure. I think this is very different. But at the same time, it looks like TKO have taken ESPN's Top Rank contract, which is a blow for Top Rank, and now they have a great platform for that league and for that product. So, yeah, I'm not, I've never put a proposal forward to His Excellency for a league. I'm not a huge, not say a believer in it. I believe it can work, and I'm sure it'll work with TKO and Dana, but it's going to be interesting.
Let's talk Johnny Fisher, Dave Allen too. What were negotiations like?
I think whenever there's a controversial fight, the first couple of weeks after, you know, like from Johnny Fisher's side, he felt that he edged a victory. A lot of people felt that Dave Allen won. Dave Allen thought that he was robbed. And it's like, then he said that, like I just said to you earlier about Devin Haney. Someone reads that, and then it's like, well, and a lot of the time in Johnny Fisher's shoes, people say, well, you won the fight, why should you give him a rematch? I don't want to give him a rematch. He said this, he said that. When it calms down and you realise what you should do and the potential that that fight could bring, you just need to have a sensible conversation. And luckily, Johnny's a very sensible guy, as is his dad, as is Adam Morley. And we sat there and I said, I've got to be honest with you, I think you really need to rematch Dave Allen. And he went, yeah, so do I, I'm up for it. Mark Tibbs was on board, everyone was on board. Then it's just a case of the numbers. You know, Dave Allen is getting very well paid, Johnny Fisher's getting very well paid, he's going to sell out the Copper Box, it's going to be a really, really big night for British boxing. And it's just the obvious thing to do. Who wants to see one in the middle? Like, we're not doing our job. We talk about boxing being broken and all that kind of stuff. Boxing is broken. If Johnny Fisher goes and fights an 8-rounder and Dave Allen fights an 8-rounder in Sheffield, who cares? Sling him in again. And by the way, Johnny, if you can't beat Dave Allen, well, you ain't going to European level, fringe world level at the moment. But you've got to give massive props to Johnny Fisher because he won the first fight. He had other options and he wants to run it back. And it's a very, very dangerous fight.
Yeah. I know there was a couple of things that Dave said about offers being sent or not being sent. With this whole story that you told him to turn down a Daniel Dubois fight for X amount of money, was there a little bit of him that perhaps felt like he was owed a bit and he was trying to push and push? Obviously, it's a big fight, but he wants...
Said, you know, I had a conversation with him about this the other day. He said this a number of times in interviews. And I said to him, Dave, it's very straightforward. When you were offered that fight with Daniel Dubois, mentally and physically, in my opinion, you weren't in the game. You would have got badly hurt in that fight. And I said to him, if you come back, you can make that kind of money against someone else. What he did from there was go completely off the boil and fall out of love with the sport. So, you know, I said to him, you can't just say, you said, don't take that fight, take another fight, when you just kind of binned off the sport and went into obscurity. Now he comes back. He made a great payday in Saudi the first time. He's going to double that this time. And if he wins, he's going to make another load of money next time. But Dave's had a good run, and I like Dave. But, you know, the main reason I didn't want him to fight Daniel Dubois all those years ago, because his head was not in the game at all. And he would have got badly hurt in that fight, in my opinion. So, you know, from there, he went further off the boil and ended up not really fighting. But he's back on track. Jamie Moore's a massive asset to him. He's making good money. He's got, you know, you see him with his family here today. He's a good man. And this payday is going to help him secure his future. And by the way, if he wins, he's going to get a bigger one after. So that's over to you, mate.
Yeah. Just quickly on Dalton Smith before we wrap up. I was speaking to Sean O'Toole out there, and he was like, yes, this fight is Dalton's focus, etc. But just say there's a New York pullout or something, it's around the same time. Dalton's ready. I know there's kind of eyes on bigger stuff, but obviously a job to do. So it's about like that.
Yeah, Dalton's now mandatory to Puello, who just beat Sandor Martin.
Which is end of the year.
Yeah, well,
right.
He's allowed one more in the next 90 days. He beats Puello all day long, in my opinion. So Dalton Smith is going to become WBC world champion. That's a massive spot. But we want to keep him active. Germain is number 13 in the rankings, decent fighter. Both of those cards, April 19th and May 17th, will sell out very quickly. We're at the Cannon Medical Centre. It's only 2,500. You've got Dalton Smith, you've got Josh Warrington, you've got Ishmael Davis, and you've got Josh Padley. I don't even think we'll be able to go on sale with the fighter tickets, to be honest with you.
So I'll be able to come along.
No. So, and then May 17th with Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen's going to go, like, it's only 7,000 at the Copper Bosch. It's going to go like wildfire. So we got sold out. We just sold out in Belfast. We'll be sold out in Sheffield, sold out in London, sold out for Ben Eubank by the time it comes around. And, you know, it's a good card in Sheffield. And, you know, it's a very busy period coming up, April, May, worldwide.
Yeah. Final one. I got my commentary debut tonight. So
Really?
Yeah.
What's that on?
Wasserman Show.
Yeah?
So I'm doing the undercard up to the Channel 5 broadcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
On the stream, yeah?
Yeah. So I just want to know if you've got any tips you can give me, which just a few hours away now. So.
Yeah, always feel like you're over talking. Because I think it's I say to fighters sometimes, it's very easy to sit there and not actually say anything and wait to be asked questions. Do you know what I mean? So,
Feel like I'm rabbiting on a bit.
Are you co-commentator?
Yeah, so it's
with who?
Dan Morley.
Right, yeah.
And then me kind of putting in the
I
intellectual bits of boxing knowledge, of course.
Yeah, my advice would be talk more. Okay. Good luck. I'll tune in for a laugh.
Thank you.
Cheers, bro.